GB News reporters, men and women, were beaten to the ground and pepper sprayed because the orders are coming down from the top that this story is not to get out. I don't know where to start, to be honest with you. I guess we could go with a 10-year-old Irish girl being viciously raped by a foreign man who was illegal in this country and was meant to be deported, but that would never happen. But that's not where everyone else is starting this story this morning, 24 hours after this vicious attack, and already that child is forgotten about, and the entire event is used by the politicians, the media, and absolute simps online to turn this into the far right need to be stopped. Fucking vile behaviour. This is what it is. I knew this would happen as soon as I saw the news of this child being attacked in the City West iPass Centre. You know, a hotel that was absolutely beautiful and fantastic and was bought and paid for by whoever to house foreign men who hate us. You just knew that as soon as this happened, people would kick off, and when they did, again, it would be used as an excuse to silence people. The locals in this area came out and protested, and before we knew it, the Gardaí, the police force of Ireland, who are up there paid for by us, the taxpayer, to protect us, which never actually happens, are up there protecting foreign men and rapists. They come under fire from the locals, bottles are thrown, projectiles, and a police car is burnt out. And to be honest with you, you didn't even need the police car to be burnt out for this to be a subverted story by the media. It was going to happen regardless of who got attacked and how it unfolded last night. They were always going to use people coming out, showing their frustration with the incessant gaslighting from the media and the politicians, destroying communities for the last 8 or 9 years, and having the ability to go out into public and shut down any debate or any discourse. It's infuriating. So of course the people are going to come out, and you add in the added factor that Child Protective Services here in Ireland, who are renowned for losing children and are renowned for selling children to sex trafficking rings and all this type of crazy stuff, which should have been investigated thoroughly but wasn't and was covered up. And these are the same people who do a compulsory 3-hour interview. If you want to take your kids out of the indoctrination camp of public school and you want to homeschool, it's compulsory to sit down with these freaks for 3 hours and explain the intricacies of why you're taking your kids out of that system. This organisation are despicable and should be investigated, but won't be, because now all the resources have to go finding who the instigators were of last night's protest. It's infuriating to listen to. By accident, I came across a news blurb this morning at about 7 o'clock from the mainstream media, from the national broadcaster here in Ireland, and again I was just appalled. It was a 5-minute piece about the far right, about fascists, about anti-immigration, about how these people are so dangerous. Nothing about the 10-year-old Irish child who was viciously attacked and by a foreign man who was not supposed to be here and was deemed not supposed to be here by the actual government and given these deportation orders. So you can come here illegally, you can rape Irish children, and then when you're told, listen, you're being deported, your asylum application has failed, you don't meet the criteria, you gotta go home. But really, wink wink, you don't have to go home because you can just ignore the self-deportation. What is that? And we have seen the vile Irish politicians like Helen McEntee, Roderick O'Gorman, Simon Harris, Micheál Martin. These are the leaders of this country. And we have seen them in government buildings standing up and applauding the fact that illegals decided not to leave the country. 16,000 in fact. This was during COVID, and we all had to watch this pumped out by the mainstream national broadcaster as if it was, a victory. 16,000 illegal people get to continue to do illegal activity. Let's all stand up and clap. So the fact that this guy had deportation orders on him doesn't mean jack shit. And it really doesn't mean anything that he needs an Arabic translator. It doesn't mean anything that he's one of hundreds of men like this in an Irish neighbourhood having the police protect him. That none of it means anything anymore. Alright, let's just get that straight. The only thing that means anything is how they can subvert the story, how they can shut Irish people up, and they're doing a fucking fantastic job at it. Normies are listening to the news today, saying to themselves, Oh my God, these fucking people had to go out there. They attacked the police. They were damaging the neighborhood. The police had to intervene to protect the locals. Oh man, it's so infuriating. The Irish police force, the Gardaí, absolute imbecile, pathetic losers. They attacked the press last night.
To the alleged sexual assault of a 10-year-old girl. According to reports, the suspect arrived in Ireland 6 years ago, failed an application for international protection in 2024 and has been the subject of a deportation order since March of this year. Doogie, thank you very much for joining us. I'll throw it over to you. Are you safe where you are?
Well, we have just been attacked by the police themselves. We did what we usually do. We get between the lines and then we let the police go past the lines. But the Garda Síochána thought it would be better to pepper spray us and then actually smash in to the camera woman and then smash in to the camera, knocking us to the ground and pepper spraying us through. So it just shows you how much the guards have, and all my time as a reporter doing this in Northern Ireland, I've been in many riots and I have never ever seen the police attack the media. They have done that this evening, as well as another photographer. And if you're watching those pictures, you can see the constable making the conscious decision. He looks at me and then comes forward and openly attacks us. It is the first time ever. Either these officers are very young because they just assaulted somebody, or they do not want this story to get out. One of the two in that is going on at this minute in time.
GB News reporters, men and women, were beaten to the ground and pepper sprayed because the orders are coming down from the top that this story is not to get out. And you can be guaranteed a GB News would have felt the full force of the Irish Gardaí, these pathetic losers attacking people and pepper spraying people. What the fuck? There's comparisons all over social media in terms of the way the national broadcaster reported this vicious attack on the young Irish girl. And it's crazy. The difference between the national broadcaster, who are paid for by force by us, the taxpayer, and also funded by the government, the deviation of narratives between what they put out to the public and what the actual news story is incredible. A girl is attacked by a man. No mention of how the Irish Child Services lost this 10-year-old girl 2 days ago. She ended up in the vicinity of a very safe IPAS centre and inevitably got raped, as you would in these extremely safe IPAS areas. No correlation between IPAS areas and crime levels going up. I pulled up this one, recent crime incidents in the City West IPAS centre in Dublin, and again, this was pretty easy to pull up. These are partial data from the Garda logs, right? Assault and aggression, threats and intimidation, other e.g. property damage and disturbances. And it goes through the entire month here. For assault and aggression, total for the year, 167 complaints to the Gardaí, and these are just partial documents and partial logs. Threats and intimidation 60 and other damage disturbances 46, right? In total, from just the partial logs of the Police Force of Ireland in this particular IPAS centre in the last 8 months, there's been 273 incidents of threats, intimidation, damage, disturbance, aggression. Now ask yourself the question, what is not being logged? What is being subverted? What is being made disappear? This is one IPAS centre. There are hundreds of them spread out all across Ireland, and we keep getting beat over the head with the narrative of these are completely safe. Completely safe, but they've had 300 incidents where the police had to arrive and deal with disturbances, with threats, with damage, with God knows what else, because you know that they're not going to log the drug dealing that's going on, the vicious assaults that are happening, and whatever else these illegals, these beautiful virtuous people that we have the moral and legal obligation to take care of, are actually partaking in. No correlation between IPAS centres and criminality. That's what we get told. Absolutely vile and disgusting. So for all the normie people out there, do you know the people that jump onto Twitter and say, hey, there was a man from Donegal arrested the other day. He actually assaulted 3 children. Why aren't you rioting outside his house? Probably because of the fact that he's Irish, and you'd expect our judicial system and our police to go there and sort that out. The guy should be brought into a cell and whipped. Absolutely vile and disgusting. But we're not being forced to pay that Irish guy in Donegal to do what he's doing. We're not being forced by the mainstream media to ignore it. Last week there was another white child stabbed to death by one of these migrants in an IPAS centre. When I heard the news bulletin for that, it just compounded exactly what these vile pieces of shit are all about. With very sparse details about the young white man losing his life. After it, we got some diatribe about how the police are advising the public not to go on social media today because, wait for it, the far right are hijacking this story to push an anti-immigration narrative. Imagine it. Imagine the death of a white child at the hands of an illegal migrant, and what the news concentrates on and what the politicians concentrates on is shutting down the people who think that that is disgusting and something needs to happen. That's Ireland in 2025. 24 hours after a young girl was failed by the state, viciously assaulted by an illegal migrant, the narrative has disappeared and we're back talking about the far right. Let that sink in.